Okay, a question came into YouTube, and I'm going to go ahead and answer it via a video for Epic Polyphony, who's the user who asked the question. And if anyone else finds it useful, that's even better. So the question was this: is it possible to use the players to alter audio effects rather than tweak the MIDI? For example, I like to mess around with vocals by playing them using the pitch transformer, that's Neptune, and playing in MIDI on a keyboard to alter the pitch instrument on the fly. Is there a way to insert the player somewhere in that chain so that I could play the vocal with interesting chords and harmonies? Something like Hide and Seek by Imogen Heap, if you will. And the answer is yes, but there's a little trick to it, so I want to show you. So here's what we know about players. Players can go on instruments. That means players can't go on audio tracks. So if I try and drag that in here, we can't add a player to an audio track. And it also means they can't go on effects. So if I wanted to add scales and chords to the digital delay here, I can't drag it above there either. Neptune is a little bit of a weird hybrid, right? Because Neptune is an audio effect that accepts MIDI. So it has elements of being an instrument and it has elements of being an effect. But so watch this. I've got this audio that is from a tutorial I recently did. I'll just play the original.
Look what's on TV now. I'd call that a sign.
And, okay, so let me just mute that one. We'll just go to this other copy here that's on another channel.
Look what's on TV.
Same exact thing. If we were to drag a Neptune in to do these harmony effects, the way you normally do it, right, is you would drag in Neptune as an insert effect, and right now it's doing basic pitch correction.
Look what's on TV.
If we were to change the MIDI input to not be an override on the automatic pitch correction, but instead route it to the voice synth, and we created a track for Neptune, we could go ahead and we could, draw in notes or play in notes. I'm going to do this randomly, and it's going to sound totally awesome. So we could do it this way.
Look what's on TV.
Okay. That's the way we normally do it, but that's doing it manually. We have to actually play in those chords. So the question Epic Polyphony wants to know is, can we put scales and chords on this Neptune? And the answer is no. If you look, I'm trying to drag this in, and scales and chords just will not go above Neptune. That's because Neptune is an effect. Even though it accepts MIDI, it is an effect. It's not an instrument. But it does accept MIDI. So that means that through the power of the combinator, there's a solution. And to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag Neptune outside of my harmony track, this mix channel I have with my vocal on it. And if you look, the cabling is still there. Normally it sits inside the combinator or the insert channel here, which looks basically like a combinator. Normally it sits in here, but I'm going to drag it out. So now it's sitting outside of my mix channel, but it's still cabled up. So the inserts still go to the input and it still returns to the inserts from the output of Neptune. And if I go ahead and I right click and choose combine, now what we've got is we've got my original mix channel and it cables out to a combinator, and the combinator has devices inside. It has a device. The device is Neptune. So now we're daisy chained through. We've got our insert is going to a combinator. The combinator includes our Neptune. But the key thing here now is that combinators are instruments, and we can put a scales and chords above our combinator. And so suddenly we can take the combinator, that would be combinator 2 here in my rack, and we can go ahead and put some MIDI notes on it and play it as chords. And so I'm going to go ahead in my Neptune, I'm going to turn off my original pitch signal entirely, and I'm going to just have the voice synth. And if we play it now, we're going to get that Imogen Heap effect you want.
Look what's on TV now. I'd call that a sign.
And we can do all the things you would do with scales and chords. So we can come up here and we can, have open chords, or we can try the octave up and see what that does to the sound.
Look what's on TV now. I'd call that a sign.
And we can even do things like we can play around with the color knob. So if I were to if I were to option click the color knob, we get another lane in the sequencer, And I've already gone ahead and created a little lane here where I turn on the color switch, and we end up getting chords that are add 9 chords to just give us a little bit of extra color. So here's the new harmony. You can actually, I'll just say this quickly, you can actually watch the switch flip here, and you can see the chord names, and you'll see the add 9s come in.
Look what's on TV now. I'd call that a sign.
So there you go. That's the answer to your question. Hope it is useful. All you got to do is nest the Neptune in a combinator, and then you can put the players on it. And if you wanted to, I mean, we could go on and on. You know, you can get into combining things as well. So we could now arpeggiate our chords.
Look what's on TV now.
But I leave it up to you guys to play with the rest. But anyway, Epic Polyphony, that's the answer to your question.